And we are almost live. I'm going to, you got a notification that we are going to go live in a few seconds, and now we are live. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a great day. Today we are going to have an amazing speaker. I'm going to talk about her. I'm going to just quickly introduce her, then switch to the latest HTB news. Her name is Anna Chernyshova, and he's from EPAM. So please welcome her. It's going to be cool. But first, let's start with a couple of Hungarian testing board news. As you probably know, we also organized the Hungarian Testing Forum, HUSTAF, and this event is going to take place this year at the end of October, between the 19th of October until the 21st. We are going to have a full day tutorial day and 3 half-day conferences. We already received the submissions. We have plenty of exciting talks. We are working on the program, and we are going to announce the program sometimes at the beginning of the summer. So, but my colleagues will share all the latest and greatest news with you. But frankly speaking, I don't want to waste anyone's time. Here we have Anna, and he brought us a very exciting topic. To be honest, I'm doing web automation, and there's a certain aspect of test automation when test automation cases starts to break because of the UI changes, and Anna and her team figured out something to overcome this problem. They created, I think, an open source project, right? It's open source.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, it's available. I think there's artificial intelligence involved, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. So I'm not going to waste her time and your time, because probably what she is going to say is more exciting. So please welcome her on stage and enjoy this great talk, which will last about an hour.
Hi, guys. So let me share my screen. And we will start. Just a second, some technical issues. Please let me share my screen.
Okay, I'm back for a second. Let me check what's going on. No problem, guys. It's all about technology. I'm trying to have Anna. I think now you are a co-host, so you can try screen share again. Hopefully it will work. So sorry, it was my mistake. So stage is yours. And
thank you one more time.
Your talk.
Okay. We have the screen. Yeah. So today we will talk about the stabilization of end-to-end testing with Helenium. So Helenium is the tool that we are developing in EPAM, and I will tell you with what purposes we are developing it and what problems can Helenium help you to solve on your automation project. First of all, let me introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Anna. I'm quality architect in EPAM systems and work in testing competency center. So we provide consulting on different testing areas, including technical consulting on testing. So I'm just doing this stuff and help project to build quality on their own. So if you will have some questions after the session, you can contact me directly by the email or by the Facebook page. What we will talk about today. First of all, we will discuss the problem statement. Why do we need Helenium or some other self-healing capabilities in our tests? Then I will describe how Helenium works. We'll show some demo. We will discuss how to integrate it with test automation framework, and I will describe some use cases that we already have from our customers. First of all, I would like to discuss why do we need self-healing in our test automation. Me as test automation engineer sometimes faced the issues that end-to-end tests, UI automation is not stable, but it should be. UI changes constantly from sprint to sprint, and developers can make some changes over the elements, change some ID name or class value. We didn't changed it in our automated tests, and then we have the test failures. So these reasons are kind of painful for each test automation engineer and the team. So we tried to solve them. I have described the three main problems that we faced out with our projects. So when we have unstable end-to-end tests, they inhibit CI/CD pipelines. I think that mostly all of you use continuous integration and deployment on your project and are familiar with the quality gates. So it's very bad when after the test automation run, some quality gate failed, but not due to product-related issues, but due to some issues with test automation scripts. So this is a problem. And also, while fixing test automation to make it more stable, we spent a lot of effort on this exercise rather than testing the new project features. So based on some discoveries, we calculated that about 40% of time team can spend on fixing test automation issues, and that's also bad for continuous processes. And the last problem here is that web application can update very often, very fast during the sprint. And in our test automation scripts, we may forget to update something, to update the locators. And due to these issues, our tests can fail. So how can we solve this problem? And what do we want from our test automation scripts? As Selenium is the most popular tool right now for test automation, for UI test automation, we want to keep using Selenium, and we want to keep our test code as it was. Also, we want to focus on regression. Instead of test maintenance, we want to make our test automation coverage bigger. We want to reduce amount of test cases that are failed due to test automation instability and that are failed due to non-product related issues, because the main purpose of test automation is to find the product issues, to verify that product acts as expected, and when automated tests are not stable, that's not good for the overall quality process. Also, we would like to reduce the effort that we spend to create reliable Selenium tests. Selenium is a good tool for test scripting. It has a lot of features, but overall, to perform some waiting activities and other stuff in Selenium, we need to spend more time to make the scripts reliable. And also we would like to use the quality gates in our pipeline, and these quality gates should said truth to us about the quality of our product. So if we will take a look at the deployment process, we want to run our functional automation after the deploy, run our tests on the remote environment, enable self-healing there. And after our test run, we will have a report with the results, and we want these tests to be stable and to show us the real quality of our product, but not the quality of automation tests. Before creation of some new tools, we investigated the market, what we have already there. Maybe we are developing something that is existing right now. So we found out some similar tools to Helenium. Probably you worked with some of these tools, but all these tools have some limitations, and they are not open sourced, and you need to pay something to use them. Here I would like to focus on Parasoft Selenic. So it's a very nice, great tool, and we noticed when we already developed some features, some main features of Helenium, that now it works almost like Selenic. It has all the features that Selenic has, so it can be integrated with the test automation framework, has some reports, and provides ability to update your Selenium tests in your code base. And also here are listed some other tools like Mabel, Tastim. They are quite similar. They just help you to make smart record and playback of your UI test, just clicking some items on the UI and record this test. And also Testcraft and True Automation are quite interesting tools. They are similar to Mabel and Tastim, and have ability to record tests from the UI. So if you are interested in some of these tools, you can just go by the link and investigate them. They have some free trial sessions. But taking account the limitations of this tool, so the first limitation we faced that Mabel, Tastim, Testcraft, all of these tools, they provide their own ecosystem. So you should write tests with Mabel, for example, run tests with Mabel, and store test results and test scripts in the ecosystem of these tools. So they are not applicable for Selenium testing. That's why we created Helenium, and it's open sourced, it's free for use, and if you want to try it, that will be great if you have some feedback on its usage. So what Helenium can do? It adopts tests to UI changes. In runtime, it can fix broken locators and fix the test. It can be used in the CI pipeline test run. So after the test run, tests will be healed, and you will have the correct result of the quality checks of your product. Also, it may reduce amount of non-product related issues, and you will not focus on test automation code update as much as without Helenium, and you will have the results of the let's say true results of test automation code path. And after the test run, it can it provides a report with healing results, what elements was healed, what was the new values of the locators, and provides ability to update the code in the test automation code base. Functions supported. Helenium supports each function that Selenium has because it is kind of proxying Selenium by adding some self-healing capabilities to find element and find elements method. So you can just use your code as it was, just to, you need just to override the, not to override, but wrap your WebDriver with self-healing driver, and that's it. So you can test iframes, actions, remote, parallel test run, integrate your code with Selenite or other Selenium wrappers. And Helenium is also applicable for mobile testing with Appium. And how Helenium works. First of all, I would like to give a quick overview of the algorithm that we are using. So we are using kind of machine learning algorithms that we are enhancing right now. Algorithm named longest common subsequence, but we modified it with Weiss coefficient for tags, ID, classes, values, text, and other attribute for the elements. So we take some code master that should be captured when you first over your first test run. And if in the next test run something changed with the DOM structure, longest common subsequence algorithm will define it and propose the new values for the elements. So it just going like in a graph over your DOM and looking for the new values of the elements where it can be located right now. Tree comparing algorithm, so longest common subsequence is realized in implemented in our tree comparing algorithm with some modifications. And it's one of the components that Helenium has. First of all, we have dependency like Helenium Web. It's a client part that should be integrated with test automation framework, and it triggers algorithm in case of no such element exception. Helenium results are stored in the Helenium backend in Postgre data storage. And also Helenium backend process as a report generation and some data processing that's needed to compare several elements to each other. After the test run, you will have the report that's generated by Helenium report, and also we have a plugin for IntelliJ IDEA that enables code updates of your test automation code base. Next, I would like to give you a high-level overview how Helenium works, and then we will go to the demo. Let's imagine that we have some test automation code, and in one method we need to click on the button by ID button. So we have it on our UI. We are trying to find this button. It was successfully found, and we pass this information to Helenium through Helenium Web and store it over the backend. At the next iteration, our UI changed. So ID now is a green button, but we don't know about it. For example, some developers put it and didn't tell us about this. and we didn't update our test estimation code. So we are still trying to find the element by ID button. We see that it was not found. We tell about this to Helenium. It provides the current page state to track tree comparing algorithm, get previous successful locator path and the position in the document in the DOM, and generates a list with new locators and the score. So we can take the locator that has the highest score that matches the best to our target one. So we take this locator, trying to find the element one more time, and see that element was found. So all of these manipulations were done during the runtime. So you don't need to rerun your tests, just to try to find element, and then Helenium will do all the work. After the test run, a report will be generated with information about the failed locator, healed locator, and screenshot. And after this, using IntelliJ IDEA plugin, you can update your code base, select to which locator you want to update it, and just have a new locator in the code. Few steps how to integrate with test automation framework. First of all, you need to add Helenium Dependency. Latest version is 3.1. Then start Helenium backend with Docker Compose. We have the default configurations in our GitHub, so I will show it a little bit later. Next step, add Helenium Maven or Gradle plugin. It depends on what build system you use, and install IntelliJ IDEA plugin. To write the tests, you just need to wrap your WebDriver with self-healing driver. And that's all modifications that you need to do in your test automation code. Also, you can define Helenium properties under test resources directory, and here you can define the score capability. It means that if Helenium finds a healed locator with probability of 70%, it will enable healing. If score capability will be less than 70%, healing will not be applicable. So this score capability you can change in Helenium properties. Also, you can enable or disable healing for the whole project. And also you can here specify the host and port where Helenium backend is running. So it can be, by default, it's localhost, but you can run the backend on the remote server and specify the host here. To find elements, you should use just standard methods like find element or find by annotation. It will work with healing. And in case you need to verify that some element is not present on the UI, you can use annotation disable healing over the method, for example, click button. And for this case, for this elements that are described in this method, healing will not be applicable. Let's go to demo part. So here I have some simple example of test automation project. We have two tests. They are quite similar, just different surname values are inputted. What else we have here? On the base page, we defined our base URL. We have some pages with defined elements, some page object model. And in base test, we set up WebDriver, just wrapping our standard WebDriver with self-healing, and that's it. Also, we have Helenium properties, where we define that our backend will be running on the local host, and score capability is 80%. And we have here integration with report portal, so we will see our results in the report portal. In infrastructure folder, we have some basic configs to start Helenium backend. So here we have Postgre instance and Helenium backend latest image. Let's take a look at our site that we will be testing. So this website was done with Tilda. Tilda is a kind of content management system where you can draw elements and change the content, for example, titles of the buttons, some text, and so on. So in our case, test will click on get a credit card item, input some surname, phone, and click on get a credit card, and we will see that this field is a mandatory, but it will be in English. So just a simple test. Here, as you can see, we have some placeholders for the inputs, and to make testing and healing more clear, we defined our elements like web element, yes, and trying to find them by XPath by placeholder name. So if we will change the placeholder here, our element will not be found anymore. First of all, what we need to do, we need to add Helenium dependency. So here it is, Helenium web version 3.1. Also, we need to start our infrastructure. I just switched to infrastructure folder and we'll start our container docker compose up -d. So it's creating containers. Let's check docker ps. Yeah, we see that two containers with backend and Postgre are up and running. Also, I have pre-installed the plugin here. Let's go to plugins, Helenium plugin. So it can be installed from the JetBrains official repository. And let's start our tests. We will execute just maven command clean test. To make healing work, we need to have a golden master with successful tests, because healing need to know what concrete elements we are looking for, and without this knowledge, it can't heal because it will not know what element we are trying to look at to find. Okay, so we see the tests passed. And in the report portal, we have some results that everything is good. Yeah, we see that we passed all the steps. Input, surname, phone, error message is okay. Let's change something. I will go to the tilde configurations. Let's change, for example, the button text. Let it be apply. We will publish this page. And let's change something in our input fields. Let's change placeholder to your surname, your phone, your email. Yeah. So we see that placeholders changed, and now we will not be able to find element by placeholder surname, for example, and on our main page, we are trying to find element by text to get a credit card, but we can't do it because it's now named like apply. But let's try to run our tests one more time. I will enable attributes for report portal. And here we will put false and put annotation, disable healing over the second test. So one test will be healed, and over the other test, we put disable healing annotation, and all the elements that are used in this test will not be healed. So let's run our test one more time. So here is the first test. Looks like it was broken. And here is another one. So we found the apply button. And now trying to find other elements. So for now, delay that you see the test is kind of slow. That's because we run healing for the first time and we need to wait for element and catch no such element exception. Okay, let's see one error. Yeah, let's go to report portal. Yeah, and here we see that one test is broken. It can't find the button get a credit card. But other test is okay. So everything was found. Let's go back to the console and click on the link that was generated. So we see here that input email field was healed. Another one, get credit button. Yeah, it was healed. Phone and surname. Also here we can enable, not enable, but just tell Helenium, do we find this healing successful or not? This user feedback helps to make algorithm stronger. So it will collect your feedback over the healing succession and will update a little bit approach how new elements can be found. So for example, let's say that locator here is not beautiful and we don't want to apply this healing. And here in test automation code, we will see that for main page, we have no healing results, so Helenium will not propose you this locator to be updated. And in several next runs, it will be much more beautiful. If we will turn it on, we see that we can update this element. Let's put OK. Yeah, so locator was updated. And the same for other pages. For example, we can click on the concrete line, or we can click on the whole class and update our elements. Let's go back to presentation. I guess you have some questions about the integrations that we support. So if you want to try more examples, you can go to our GitHub. We have the Helenium example Maven project, and you can see how to integrate it with HTML elements, for example, where a page element pattern is used. How to integrate it with Selenite, Report Portal, Pure Selenium, or how to integrate it with Selenoid to run your tests on the remote machine. And use cases. So I would like to share some feedback that we have from the projects that are already using Helenium. So we have two big case studies about this. So first big project was based on Hybris. So the challenges here was that testing was quite time consuming because testers should support two versions of environments. So they had the test environment and some cloud environment. And on cloud environment, by default, Hybris put some prerequisites to the IDs and classes. So in project, test automation engineers used ID values mostly to find the elements, but on the cloud environment, this ID values was changed with some prefix. So they should contain 2 page objects instead one. After using Helenium and running tests on the one environment, tests were healed automatically to for second environment. And with this approach, team spent less time to test automation script support and increased test stability by about 20%. So Helenium showed himself as a good tool for several environment support when something on one environment, when the description of elements on one environment differs from the second one. That's not very, let's say, common and good approach, but for that project, it was some needs for this. So we helped them to solve their issues. And another one interesting case was to where Helenium helped to support localization testing. So the project had 3 locales, English, French, and German. And For this locales, they tested payment system on 3 languages, and this payment system was generated by Google, and locators for the elements was randomized on every test run. So the one way the team can locate elements was by text, and text for each language was different, so they had to support 3-page objects instead of 1. We integrated Helenium with this project, run tests on the English locale, and tests was healed automatically for the French and German locales. So it was very surprising for us that it can be applicable for localization testing, because we didn't thought about it, but it can, and we helped project to reduce amount of the code that they need to support and minimize time for the regression testing. I guess you have questions about the limitations. So what limitations Helenium has? First of all, for now, Helenium work only with Java-based frameworks. But we are working on support of other languages. On the next slide, I will show you our next plans. Also, healing may be not effective when you have a pure site, so when there are not a lot of elements, so the probability of not healed locator becomes bigger, because you don't have a lot of choices for the healed locators. Also, it can be a probability of false positive results. For example, you have a test and it finishes with clicking on some button without verification. Helenium can, if there are several very similar buttons, and that button that you want to click changed, Helenium can propose locator for another similar button and click on it. So in this case, test will pass, but it should fail because it was a wrong element. But to avoid these cases, you should use proper assertions. It's a common test automation practice just to verify that you are on the target page, that you interact with the right element. So for these purposes, assertions should be used, and in these cases, probability of false positive results is low. Also, you have seen that test speed decreases. It works for now for the first test run, and we are working right now to fix this issue and to make healing almost not affectable to the whole test run speed. In some cases, you need to verify that element is not present, and Helenium overrides the find element method, catch no such element exception, and starts the algorithm capturing. But to avoid this, if you want just to catch no such element exception by yourself and be sure that the element is not here, you can use disable healing annotation over the method, and Helenium will not be applicable for this method. And one more limitation, that you need to have a golden master. You need to have the past test. You need firstly fix it if it was broken, and then run it. And if in the next runs this test will fail due to UI changes, Helenium will fix it. but it needs a golden master just to know what element is target one. So what element we are going to interact with and what element should be healed. And future plans. So in nearest future, we are going to have an integration with report portal. So instead of healing report will be as well, but in the report portal you will have you will see items on the test steps and on the tests that healing was applied for this test and for what concrete element. So it will be visible in the report portal, and you can analyze how many tests were healed. Also, we are now working on the proof of concept to work on the JSON wire protocol. I guess that all of you know that Helenium works over this protocol, at least Helenium till version 4. And we are going to be proxy between our test automation code and Helenium hub or driver, and just to catch requests for element interactions and heal over the JSON wire protocol level. In this implementation, Helenium will be applicable for each language, and it will be framework agnostic, so you can use it for every test code you have. But Helenium still will be mandatory here. Also, we want to implement the record and playback feature with Chrome extension that will help to record tests and playback them with the healing capabilities. We will speed up healing using this session storage and just to remember what healing was performed during the test session and automatically use new healed locators in the duplicated tests and steps. Also, we are working right now on the enhancement of machine learning algorithm to make our locators shorter and much more beautiful. Right now, Helenium supports only CSS values, but I think in a few months we will have a new release where ID, classes, tag names, and other attributes will be in place to during the healing session. And also machine learning algorithm will upgrade healing capabilities and make algorithm smarter. If you are interested in the project and want probably to contribute something, or just take a look at it, so you can go to our GitHub. Here is the links of Helenium Web, backend, plugins, and Appium implementation. You can take a look, and if you have some ideas, don't be shy, contribute. We are always open to the new contributors and support new ideas. I think that's it from my side. If you will have some questions after the session, you can contact me by email or by Facebook link. I put it on the first slide. Yeah, and now we can discuss your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. It was a great talk. I liked it for many reasons. First of all, because it's also for web testing, what I do. But secondly, I think it was pretty cool because you had everything, like, you know, case studies, because I think it's very important to show some statistics. Saying it's good, I think often is not enough without any data. So I think it was pretty good. people will start asking questions. So I want to let you know, guys, in the Slido window on your right, you have this Q&A feature. Please feel free to ask questions. In the meantime, I'm going to read out the questions that we already have for Anna. So, Christian asked you if there's authentication to the Helenium backend. So if it's protected some way, or
yes. You can describe your own schemas on the Postgre and pass credentials in the Docker Compose file. So we have an example with putting just a standard one, but you can use your own creds.
Okay, so it's possible. That's the thing. Okay. Okay. Christian had another question. Oh, or actually two. First one, if Helenium is scalable.
I guess
he's
this
talking
question
about
yeah, I guess it's about multi-project support. Yes, so now that's one of enhancements that we are working on to enable usage of one Helenium backend instance for several projects. But now you can use backend for your project, and so one project will have one Helenium backend instance. Only thing you need to specify is host and port for backend on which port it should run. So you can run several backend instances on the one machine.
Okay. Istvan is curious, how many people is or are working on this open source initiative?
Okay, it's me and two developers. For a long time, it was me and only one developer, but now we have another one to support mobile adoptions and JSON wire protocol. And we have a tester, one tester, but it's not fully loaded, just 50%.
Okay. Okay, Christian has got another question. I try to interpret it, because Christian is asking what kind of data is sent with this report healing feature. I think probably he's interested in what kind of data you are storing in the backend. That's my assumption, but Christian, feel free to correct me, because my interpretation is you are looking for what kind of data is stored to support this self-healing feature.
So probably I can even show it. Just a second.
Okay.
Okay, we can take a look. So we have several tables. That's not counting. Healing results, report, selector. So in healing table, we have the key to the element. So it's auto-generated by the selector ID, page name, method name, where element is described in our code. Also, we have a page content here and the date. In healing results, we have ID, kind of number of element, healing ID that was from the previous table, score, target locator, healing feedback, if it was successful or not. Yeah. And in report, we have just information about the elements, so what elements was healed, class names, and other information that we have in the report. And in selector, we have the name where selector is defined, page name, class name, method, locator, node path for algorithm. So that's all information that we store right now.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Just checking because there's a new from Christian. He's saying he's seen a report feature where there was a switch if the user is satisfied with the locator or not. He says that he didn't fully get what it is used for. Why do you have the switch that the user is satisfied, not satisfied? I think this is something when you give a feedback to this machine learning stuff,
yes.
that this is more like teaching the system
yes.
that its prediction was correct or not, right? So it's more like a review. Okay, the machine told that this is the new selector, and you accept it. It's a kind of checkbox.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, it's kind of training for the algorithm to tell them the feedback if locator was correctly generated or not.
Okay, next question. This is my question. Any plans to support other programming languages like Python? Because Python is also popular when it comes to automation, and Java is the other one.
Yeah.
Do you have any such plan?
We want to pilot our solution with proxying JSON wire protocol. So if it will be successful, we will use this one and some short adoptions to other program languages just to enable some capabilities like locator updates and so on. So hopefully in months or few months we will have some release candidate of our proof of concept with this JSON wire protocol proxying.
Oh, good. And is it going to be 100% we support the same as you support for Java, or this is a limited set of features, or?
We will support everything that we have for Java. So, but it will be working not more, it will be not client focused like Helenium is right now. So it focused on the client where test scripts are implemented. But it will be more infrastructure focused. So it will be a kind of proxy between your code and Selenium, hub, WebDriver, or other infrastructure you have. And just to catch, will catch the responses from Selenium hub that something, that element was not found, and retry to find it one more time with the healed value.
Okay, good. Someone asked if you have any plans to handle false negatives. So the question is, I think, okay, when the test doesn't report an error, but there is. So we were talking about false positives. The questioner, the guy asking if you want to do anything with the false negatives.
We can do something only for the locator changes right now. And we will focus yes, on the UI changes, but if something happened with logic of tests, we can't do anything with this. But false positive, we think that our enhancements of machine learning algorithm by providing this feedback from users will make it stronger and will help to reduce false positive healings.
Okay, we have another question from Laszlo. He's asking if Helenium was tested with native Mac OS applications and Windows, I think this UWP.
I can tell no.
I think it was quick to answer. So Laszlo may ask further questions. So he got the answer, no support for Mac OS native application or UWP Windows applications. Quick question. Okay, it's open source. Do you have any kind of support? So if I use your library and I have issues, is there a way to report it to you? Is there a chance to get it resolved by, I mean, in a month's time or 2 months' time? Or it's really a best effort? Use it? Or
You can leave issues on the GitHub repo. It will be the best way to price something. Over the grooming sessions, our team take a look at these issues and we prioritize them, answer to them, and if it was a request for some defect or enhancement, we will take it into the sprint. Also, if you have some questions of overall how it works or how to integrate with some custom solutions, we have a site, helenium.io, and there is a feedback form there. You can just put your question, your name, and ask it. We will have it on our mailbox and we'll respond to you.
okay. Thank you. I'm just checking if there's any new questions coming in. I haven't seen any in the past 5 minutes, so seems like we have all the questions answered. But as you mentioned before, you are happy to answer further questions if folks send it to you to the email address. So the information for you guys is that this video is recorded and published right after this meetup. I'm going to send out the URL in the meetup.com and send it to Anna. And also, she promised us to send over the slides in PDF. So we are going to publish it in the coming days. And what can I say? Thanks for being with us. It was a pleasure. It was one of the best presentation I have seen, because it was technical. You talked about how it works. Showed us a couple of case studies, numbers. I think it's very important, and loads of links, information. So it was pretty cool. So I'm going to check it again. No new questions arrived. So thanks for being here. It was really a pleasure. Hopefully others enjoyed it as well. So
thank you for having me here.
And I wish everyone a great evening, and also obviously to Anna. And hopefully we can have you sometime, someday again here, or maybe at Hustaf. So keep in mind, we have an online conference, which is going to be physical next year. This year still online.
Oh,
so
great.
would be nice to have you, because I think web automation and mobile automation is a hot topic. Self-healing, machine learning application on the web testing domain is pretty cool, pretty relevant. So hopefully, I'm going to send you an invitation next time we open our submission for next year's conference.
That would be great.
So thanks again for being here. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the